Hey everybody, today we're starting our first unit, or excuse me, our third unit in our first lesson of our third unit. And right here I have unit 3 on my table of contents. So I skipped a line from, right here, skipped a line from unit 2 and I've started writing on unit 3. And this lesson is going to be titled Story Elements. So go ahead and write Story Elements on your next line. And this is going to be on my page 21. It might be a little different for you. You might have different numberings of pages, but whatever the next blank page is in your notebook, that's where you need to start writing your story elements. So once you've written that down, let's go ahead and flip to the next blank page that we have. We have our mood, which is what we just finished with, and we're starting right here. I'm going to go ahead and start on this page. I'm going to write unit 3 right here just so I remember. Unit 3. Oops, sorry, there you go. And then I'm going to title it the same as what I titled it on my table of contents, Story Elements. Now today with Story Elements, we're going to just do the basics and the bare overview because we are going to be going more in depth with each of these in a little bit. So this is not going to be a super detailed lesson, but it's going to give you a basic idea of what we're going to be learning about here over the next couple of weeks. So with that said, I also want to remind you that I do talk and write very, very quickly. And if you find that I'm talking and writing too quickly for you to keep up, please feel free to pause the video whenever you need to catch up. And then whenever you're ready to keep going, go ahead and press play and keep working your way through the video. So the first story element, the first main piece of a story that we really need to have, especially when we have a fiction story or an entertaining story, is we need characters. So the first thing I'm going to write down right here are characters. And I'm only going to use about half of my page. I'm going to use the other half of the page for the next story element that we're going to talk about. And the characters can be all kinds of things. They can be the people, which is usually what you have in there, but you could also have animals. So if you were telling a fable, that would be a good one. Or creatures in a story. And I like drawing things because it just helps my brain remember a little bit better. And I am not a great artist, but I do a pretty good stick figure. So there's my character. I am going to draw a little puppy dog for my animal. And then a creature. I guess I could do a monster. Maybe from like Monsters, Inc. There's some horns, big eyes, mouth. He looks a little angry. He's angry because he's got duck feet or something. I don't know. All right, so here is our creatures, our people, our animals, or our creatures in a story that basically tell us what the whole story is about. Now, what is a character without having them in a specific place, such as a setting? So my next story element is where the story takes place. What is the setting of the story? So where, and it can also be when. The where and the when of a story. So I'm going to draw a nice little house. And then maybe a little calendar that says Monday of 2020, because that would be a crazy story setting for anybody who has not lived through this year with us. So we have character, setting. Those are our first two story elements. And then I'm going to move this up a little bit so that you can keep seeing what I'm writing. After that, we have the problem. I wrote that a little bit too big, but that's okay. The problem. Now the problem is really interesting because without a problem in a story, you don't really have any driving force that makes the characters move forward in their setting. So the problem is what goes wrong in the story. And so let's draw, let's see, we did that in orange. So we're going to draw our little person in orange. We're going to make it with a skirt on this time. Smiling. I'm not sure why she's smiling because she's going to have a little thought bubble right here that says, oh no, like something went wrong. Oh no, something happened. What is it? We don't know. So that is our problem. And with every problem that happens, our characters have to try and solve that problem. And our story isn't done until those characters have found the solution. So our fourth story element is going to be solution, or how the problem is solved. Now, if you've been paying attention and thinking back and making a connection with something that we've done earlier, we have talked about this a lot in our plot maps. So if you guys remember the nice little triangle that I made you draw up and over, those plot maps cover, sorry, I can't talk and write at the same time. Okay, how the problem is solved is our solution. Those plot maps actually cover almost all of these story elements. So if you have that plot map, you have a good idea of what the story elements all are. Now, our solution, we're going to draw our little girl again with the skirt on. And here's her smiley face. And she's like, she's going to yell, fixed it. Like, oh yeah, I fixed the problem. We got it taken care of. Nothing's wrong here. Nothing happened. It's all good. It's all good. So these are our first four elements of the story elements. And if you need to pause, please remember you can do so anytime. So we'll give you just a second to write this down if you need to. And then we're going to finish off with our last two elements of a story. So the next element for our story is theme. And we've touched on, based on this one, just a little bit when we talked about fables. And today, this time around in this unit, we're not going to just touch base on what the theme is for a short fable that might tell you what the theme is. We're going to figure out what the theme is for an entire story. So we can say that the theme is a topic or lesson from a story. So if we're talking about this character, and we'll use our character from up here, so our person without the skirt on. So here we have our person without their skirt and the two legs, and they're smiling, and they're going to ask the question, what did I learn? So what did I learn? What was the lesson that the characters learned as they solved the problem and got to their solution? And that is generally what your theme is going to be when you're in a story. Now the last but not least story element is dun dun dun, the plot. And you might be going, but Miss Froggy, we talked about the problem and the solution and the characters and the theme. Isn't that the plot? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is the plot, but the plot doesn't include just the problem and solution. It is more than that. It is all, I'm going to double underline, all of the events in a story. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and draw a really quick picture of that plot map, because I know that that plot map tells me or gives me a map or an idea of where all of these events. That's a little terrible. That is an P and then an L, so my L got a little close to my P there. So it should be PL right here. Oops. PLOT, plot map. So the plot map is all of the events that happen in the story. It's all of the story elements and then how the story gets moved from one section to another. And those are our story elements that we're going to be going over. This is just your, again, introduction, and we'll be going over each and every one of these in a little bit more detail as the unit progresses.